Wabarakatuh. My name is Karrar, and today I'll be talking about social media. Since it's an ever-expanding space where we always see new features being added. And it's something important that we need to have a look at, analyze, so that we can secure the future generation. So in the first part of today's presentation, I'll be talking for the first half an hour about the technical side and explaining the features of Instagram and Snapchat, going into depth how they work, and and at the end I'll talk about some long-term consequences of Instagram, Snapchat, and social media in general. So the general idea of social media is to basically help us connect and to stay in touch with a variety of people from across the world. Social media promotes a transparent source of news and media also. So we find a lot of positives on that side. But the reason we all use social media is to share our life, to share our daily life. And that's the part that we need to analyze. So you look at today's social media, we have four main mediums. Twitter. Twitter is used usually by the 20 plus, let's say. You don't see a lot of young users on there. It's a more of an advanced social media. You'll get Facebook. A lot of people, almost every single person uses Facebook, and Facebook is sort of complex. The age group ranges from 13-year-olds all the way to 60-year-olds. So, and it's also complicated and you need to get used to it. You can share anything on it, photos, videos, links, anything. Instagram is different. Instagram is completely relatable to the younger generation. Instagram was made completely for the younger generation, for the younger age group. Why is that? It's because it's a much simpler interface, and young teenagers can relate to it. They find it simple and easy to use. Snapchat is one of the newest social medias, and Snapchat is also even more focused on the younger generation. For say 13-year-olds all the way up to 18-year-olds, a good chunk of Snapchat users are that age group, and also you see hit some 25-year-olds. So sharing your life. When you share your life, there's a lot of sensitive information being put out there. An example of that is, I remember in grade 8, when you get a go-kart, everyone would post that go-kart on Instagram, not knowing the consequences. But a simple post or action like that, posting your go-kart on Instagram, actually is very detrimental to your future. Why is that? Because if you accept a follower that you don't know, or if the person accepts someone they don't know, or their account is public, that go-kart has their student number, their full name, their school, and their district. If that person wants to cause any harm, they know exactly what time they're at school, what district they're in, and what area they're in. And you look at in other aspects, security info. Sometimes you have locations being always constantly added to these social media networks, giving out your location as well. And when you look at social media, anonymous users is a huge topic. Because through that screen, you don't know who's sitting behind that screen. It can be anyone. And we see a lot of manipulation with social media, bullying, and sometimes attempts to lure kids. And we also sometimes see some publishing of false information to manipulate people's minds. And the last one, which is very important we need to look at, is the negative connotation sometimes social media gives to our youth. The problem with it is that it accidentally makes you gives you a negative connotation, makes you look bad. How is that? Because sometimes our young teenagers, they're following certain pages, they're liking certain pages, and it's all visible to the whole community. And so when that person likes a certain group of people, likes certain posts, he's exposing himself, exposing what his interests are. Whether that's wrong or right, sometimes it really does cause problems. It gives an image of yourself, it gives an image of that person to the rest of the community that is really negative and impacts their future. So let's talk about Instagram. So for those of you who don't know what Instagram is basically an application and also has a website, but that website is not used that much. It's very simple. But the application is basically used to post images, photos, and videos. And these photos, you can add a location to each photo. So you can say, I post a picture, Coquitlam, British Columbia. I add British Columbia or Vancouver. Or I can add very, very specific places like Town Center Park or Community Center. Right? And I can also add and tag other users, right? Other friends or things like that. And also I can add a caption, and in the caption, I can add a hashtag. And I'll talk about the hashtag later on. So these posts are viewable by the people following that account, and that account can also follow other people. So it works differently than Facebook and other applications. You follow people, and people follow you, right? And with that, you also see there's also the capability of direct messaging, sometimes referred to as DMs. With direct messaging, you can send private messages to a single person or to a group. And the thing that makes Instagram different is the fact that you can unsend these messages right away. Unlike WhatsApp or any of them, it's right away you can send something in a second and unsend it right away. So I don't know if you want to look at that positively or negatively. And with Instagram, we see something called stories. Stories is a feature in where you can post something for 24 hours only. And after the 24 hours, it's automatically removed. With this, sometimes we see people risking some photos, some things, because they say it's only 24 hours. Not realizing the fact that anyone can screenshot that and take that photo. And so with hashtags, it's something also important we need to look at. Through hashtags, someone can easily go on Instagram and search, say, hashtag food. If someone posted a picture using hashtag I love food, they can go and search hashtag I love food, right? And they can see every single post under that hashtag. And sometimes, if the account is public, it can be a huge risk. So Instagram has 200 million users. 90% of them are under the age of 35. So you can see it's a great target for people that want to cause harm. So what do kids think of Instagram? Well, to be honest, kids think of Instagram like a game. Now you ask, how? Why like a game? Well, the fact that there's likes, followers, people you're following, these features make it seem like a game. Users want to get as much followers as possible and as much likes as possible. And you see this not only with the young kids, but throughout Instagram. And it's really affecting the younger kids, the younger teenagers. Because they're trying to get as much likes and as much followers, and this is completely tied in with their self-worth. They base themselves off of how many likes they get. If they don't get a lot of likes, they feel unimportant. They don't feel important to society. And this is where anxiety and depression and mental health issues come in. And this has gone to a point where you have third-party websites offering a service to give you X number of followers for a certain price. So I can go on a website and pay $10 to get 500 followers. It's gotten to that insane point. And you look at it, it's also one of the leading causes to addiction. Later on, I'll talk about the science behind Instagram and how it works and how it causes addiction. And so posting, kids' self-esteem is directly linked with your latest post. So your latest post reflects your self-esteem. If you didn't get as much likes, if you didn't get as much comments, if there was a bad reaction, if there was a good reaction, that's completely linked to your self-esteem, right? So it's very important that we analyze that. You look at Instagram. What is posted? Well, kids post everything on it, and everything and everywhere. There's food posted, places, self-portraits, and something important you need to look at is in the Instagram community guidelines, it does not allow nudity or inappropriate pictures, but they do allow part of it. And when you look at the guidelines, it clearly states they allow partial nudity, and that's something important to understand. And sometimes, as I said, there's private information being posted and advertisements. You see, Instagram functions because of advertisements. You have a free service, but what you're paying for that free service is your time and the data you give it. The time and your data. The two most important things you have are your time and your data, and you're giving that in return for a free service. With Instagram, there's two types of accounts. There's a personal account and then a page. You can call it a page or an influencer page. These pages can be about anything: gaming, soccer, about a specific player, about anything you can think of. Anything you can think of has a page. And these pages function because there's advertisements being posted on them. They market on these pages, and they don't have like a set procedure to market on. It's through PayPal, it's through other terms, so it's not managed through Instagram. So they can market in however way they want. And there's no real laws to outlaw them. And what you see is lots and lots and lots of promotions. So they are being bombarded with ads and consumer products. And when you see at some of the bigger Instagram pages, you see a lot of things out there that you don't want your kids being exposed to, such as marijuana and drugs references. You see a lot of marijuana references, a lot. And as the years, it's being referenced and looked at a lot. Very explicit and wrong music. Social media shares very explicit and wrong music, especially Instagram. When you're scrolling up and down, at least a week you'll see some music, and that's where kids are being exposed to it. That's where they pick it up from. You wonder where they get a lot of things? That's where they get it from. Right? And as I said, they're being bombarded with consumer products, try to make as much money off of them as possible. There are people out there, 16-year-olds, making $30,000 off of Instagram. And you can find it. How? They're bombarding pages with consumer products just to make money off of them. So Instagram. So there has been a new feature added to it, and it's called, or actually never mind, sorry. So here I have a video, just to show you basically Instagram. So I'll keep pausing and trying to explain to you what these pages are. So this is a splash screen. This is the home page on Instagram. In the top, you see Instagram. To the right of it, that inbox, that's where the direct messages are. That's where the chats go on, private or group. The post you see in front of you is a post of someone. You keep scrolling up, you see different various posts in that form. It could be a video, it can be multiple pictures. And then you see the heart means the like, the comment, and the share. The arrow is a share. You can share that post with anyone you'd like. Obviously, if that account is private, the post won't appear to people not following that account. So we move on. This is the profile page. So this is a profile page. You can see up there, it says the followers, it says the following, the number of posts, bio, and then all the posts they've posted. You can just scroll through it. You can see everything. And this is the activity page. With this page, I can see what people, how they're interacting with me. Who's liked what? Who's liked what they've done to my account? Are they liking? Are they commenting? Are they doing specific things? And this is a page we need to focus on. This is a page that's very important. This page can expose our community members. Because from this page, I can look at what my friends are liking. I can look at what their pages they're following. I can look at who they are really in their free time, right? So for instance, Awesome Earth Pics liked all these 6 pictures. Or this person started following that account. So it's important we understand that these features are out there. And this is the hashtag search, as I told you. So this person is typing Lambo, and he can search every single picture or post tagged or has the hashtag Lambo in it. It's very simple, very easy. And this is the Discover page. So I didn't talk too much about the Discover page, but the Discover page is that toolbar on the bottom beside the home icon. This page is basically called the Discover, where you see Instagram recommends what pictures, what posts, anything the algorithm guesses what you'd like to see. So this way, when you look at it psychologically, they're forcing you, even in your free time, to look at things that you potentially might be interested in. So even if you have nothing to do on Instagram, nothing to look at, they force you by putting a discover page. So even in your free time, you'll look at this and say, oh, interesting pages. And this is just an example of someone posting a picture. You take a picture, you put a filter to it, and you can do various edits. This is a page where you post that picture. This is a final step before posting. You can see you can tag people, you can add a location, Facebook, Twitter, all these different things. And that's basically it for Instagram. So what is Snapchat? Snapchat is basically a popular photo, video, and live messaging application. People can post to stories, same type of thing. You can post to a story 24 hours, it stays there, and then it disappears. But what's different about Snapchat is the way they've understood it psychologically. They've understood it in a different way. They've added something called streaks. So once you send a snap picture to someone, consistently, 2 days or more, an icon of a fire emoji is added beside a number. This makes the users constantly wanting to visit the app and send a snap every single day. Because if they don't, they lose that number. They lose that emoji. They make it like a score. They make it like a game. Building addiction to the game. So with Instagram, the main focus of it is streaks and also messaging. So with messaging, it's very different and very unique. Once you open the messenger and you're talking with someone, those messages are only viewable to you once. You see them once and they're gone. Pictures have a time limit. 6 seconds and they're gone. You can replay it once, you can do that. But with messages, once you close the messenger, the messages are gone. But sometimes what you have is, you can save the message by holding on it. So it's important to know. Memories. With memories, it's basically a library, and I'll show it later on. It's a library where you can store your pictures and things like that. But with memories, there's something important to know. There's the normal library, and there's the My Eyes Only. The My Eyes Only is a section in the library, in this application, that is locked under a passcode. So you put pictures in there from your device or pictures you've taken on Snapchat, and you put it on there, and it's safe. It's still on their network, but it's supposed to be safe. No one can see it because it's locked under a passcode. So there's all these features that keep you safe, that supposedly makes kids think that they're safe, but they don't know that all this is posted on the network. And there's also something called the Snapchat map. So with this, I can show you here. So say this was me today recording. So I can see everyone around me. I can see everyone in the globe. I can see their location. So I have a friend here off the coast of Venezuela, right? I can see exactly what their location is, and I'll zoom in on their house. I'll show you. So this is the Middle East. We'll go back to Vancouver for 1 second. So you can see. I can see exactly what location they're at. Come here, so this is Vancouver. So I can see here all my friends in Coquitlam, my friends in Richmond. So I'm gonna zoom in on this house and you'll see how closer I can get. I can literally see what room in the house. So this can be very important and sensitive information. If you look here, for example, this person, this is their latest update. This is just now, right? And I can see he's walking in the house. This is just now, right? So I can see very detailed, a lot of details, right? This person was 20 minutes ago. And that's basically it for that part. So something very important as well is called Snapchat Discover. So this is on to the right of my homepage on Snapchat. And on the top is the things I'm following. But below that is things I'm not following. It's things Snapchat forces to put up there. So you see all these things, I've not subscribed to them, I've not liked them, I've not followed them, but they're forcing you to look at things. They're forcing you to look at celebrity lifestyle. They're forcing you to look at what's the latest out there. And it's not always the truth. A lot of celebrity gossip and things like that. So I was going to go in depth more about Snapchat, but we don't have time. But basically, Snapchat is very unique in that it's very relatable and it solves the problems in school. If you want to send messages, if you want to do anything, it's very secure. No one's going to see them. But unfortunately, there are softwares out there where you can screenshot, you can do multiple things without notifying the other person. Because on Snapchat, when you screenshot, when you take a video, everything tells the other person. But there are softwares out there which are available to anyone to not give notifications. So it can be very misleading. So now when I come to the end, I wanted to talk about some long-term effects of social media. You look at social media and it has addiction. It has real addiction. If you ask your son or daughter to leave social media for a week, and I really, really challenge you to do that. If they can do that, that is something special. With addiction, you look at the scientific reasoning behind it, it's something very clever. The latest Facebook executive left Facebook, and he was discussing this. They have studied the human psychological mind and exploited it. They know exactly how kids think, they know exactly how they react, and what they've done is they find out that there's a chemical called dopamine. A chemical called dopamine in the human brain. When that's released, it gives happiness. So what they've done is they give you jolts of dopamine to keep you addicted. Because it's just like any other drug. Once you get it once, twice, 3 times, you're addicted. You want that feeling. And that works with notifications, likes, commenting, sharing. So you see them implementing that, manipulating kids' brains. You see huge depression problems and anxiety in adults, and I wonder what it does to kids. Long-term mental issues. So there was a study done recently. If kids use social media for 3 hours or more per day, it's damaging to their self-esteem. Damaging to how they look at themselves. So it's something very important. When you have a society growing with low self-esteem, that's a weak society. That's a society with weak morals and values. And the last one I want to talk about is the negative career footprint. In today's generation, when you go apply to a university, when you go apply to a job, they ask for your Facebook, for your Instagram, for all these different social media platforms. I recently applied for something, and I was surprised. It said Instagram and Snapchat. They wanted my Instagram and my Snapchat. They didn't ask for Twitter, they didn't ask for Facebook. Because they know that Instagram and Snapchat are crucial to understanding someone's character, how they interact. So what our kids are posting on social media isn't just a temporary problem. It's a huge, has long-term consequences. When they want to apply for university or jobs, they're going to face a lot of difficulties. And I thank you for listening. Next, I want to introduce Sheikh Murtaza Bachoo to talk about Islamic perspective. Thank you.
Well done. Assalamu alaikum. Today I'm not able to throw my voice, you have to hear me very, very carefully. Thank you, Brother Karrar, for introducing that to us. We know that technology is a part of our lives and social media is a part of the lives of our children. And so it's important for us to understand what's a healthy role for technology in our lives and what are some good guidelines for having a healthy usage of technology and a healthy usage of social media. I want to break down the conversation into 2 parts. I don't think I'll be able to finish on time or I'll be able to finish it, but let's see how far we get. The first part is to talk about mobile devices, screens, tablets, smartphones, what's a healthy and unhealthy role of it, when to start giving screens to our children, the first phone, and what are some appropriate times and locations for the use of technology, and what's not appropriate and not healthy. Second, I want to talk about social media, and I think parenting for social media takes on 3 components. First is, as a parent, developing awareness, which is what you are doing here today. Second is setting guidelines, what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, and making that clear to your children. And third, engaging in conversations, and what type of conversations do we want to have with them. A lot of the notes that you're going to see are actually going to be on this particular sheet. You should have a copy in front of you. If you don't, you ask for the copy. On the back of it is going to be this one, and we'll talk about both of them. So what are some healthy uses for a tablet or a smartphone? Well, let's start with unhealthy uses, and here I'm speaking to parents. Sometimes we use a tablet or a smartphone for free or cheap babysitting, correct? Yes, you have work to do, you have someone to talk to, you want to sit in the muhabara and listen to it, and you don't want your children to make noise. What's the cheapest way of making them quiet? Give them a phone, correct? The most expensive way of making them quiet. You will pay with more than your money. You will pay so much for it, no amount of money is going to bring back what you have lost. Replacement for playtime. Sometimes we think of it as a toy. You know, when we were young, we played with a ball, with dogs, with a Lego, with whatever it was. This generation, they play with the tablet or they play with the smartphone. So to think of it as a replacement for playtime, for creative activities. I wish I had time. I would show you that research nowadays shows that children coming to the classroom with ADD, attention deficit disorder. They come in the classroom with a lack of creativity, and they've linked it all back to what? Screen time. And number 3, replacement for face-to-face interaction. So as children are growing up, one thing they need is to play with other kids, to interact with them, a little bit fight with them, and learn how to compromise with them. When they go to family gatherings, they should be having face-to-face conversations. We're not having that, and as a result of that, what's happening, when children come to elementary school, teachers are noticing that they don't have patience, they don't have forbearance, they don't know how to compromise, and they don't have social skills, period. Okay? What are some healthy uses? Educational uses, finding out information, learning the news, keeping touch with relatives, and a short period of relaxation. Okay. When to start with children in terms of giving them the screen? So, according to the Canadian Pediatric Society, from 0 to 2 years, how much screen time? Let's repeat that once again. From 0 to 2 years, how much screen time?
0.
0 hours of screen time. And 0 means 0. It doesn't mean 30 minutes. 0 hours of screen time. From 2 to 5 years, not more than 1 hour of screen time. And 5 years and above, not more than 2 hours of screen time. That's according to CPS, Canadian Pediatric Society. However, from a religious perspective and from a growth perspective, I would say even 5 years and above, not more than 45 minutes of screen time. If we understand what's the role of technology within our lives, this would make a whole lot of sense to us. 2, let's establish a culture of healthy usage of technology. Okay? So inside the home, not only we tell our children this is the time limitation, but ourselves inside the home, we establish that culture. Not only our families, but other families as well. As a community, we have to establish a healthy culture. Right? Because imagine if I tell my kid that when we go to the mosque or we go to uncle's house, you're not using the phone. You're supposed to be talking to people. And every other kid who comes to the family gathering is doing what? They're using the phone. Am I going to be successful? No. So we need to establish a healthy culture. Make technology use a privilege and not a right. Nowadays kids feel that having a phone is like having food and water. The way you have the right to having shelter and clothing, you also have a right to Wi-Fi. No. One of the things you can do at home is you tell your kids, especially those who are young, 4, 5, 7, 8 years of age, clean your room, do the dishes, do your homework, and then as a privilege, you're going to get a little bit of screen time. Keep your own password a secret. Yes. Because if you don't keep it a secret, what will kids do? when you're not watching, come and pick up your tablet, start using it, okay? And monitor the games, the applications, the channels, and the sites that they are using. Rule of thumb for your children. Can I have some water, please? Is that mine or? That's mine, right? Okay. Whenever your children are using the phone or the tablet, where are they supposed to use it? Right in front of you. Not in the bedroom, not in the den, right? Especially when they're young, under the ages of 13, 14, 15, yes. They're using it where? In the living room, public space, in front of you, where you can see it. And one of the things you can do also is play some of the games with your children, right? It's a good way to bond with them, but also opens up your eyes to what are they being exposed to in these games. Okay. When to give the first phone? So, number one, a phone or a tablet is not a good gift. When you turn 11 years of age, let me give you your own phone. Right? This birthday, I'm going to get you your own tablet, right? A phone is not a good gift. Very simple, okay? Children in elementary school do not need their own phones, right? When they go into high school, you ask what age should they get their own phone, their first smartphone. Well, it's not about age, it's about qualities. They should be trustworthy, they should be responsible. Responsible means you don't have to tell them. They know what needs to be done, they know what is right, they do it themselves. That's having responsibility. And they're honest and they're transparent with you. If you ask them a question, they'll tell you exactly what's happening there. Very important, establish guidelines and policies before giving them a phone. One of the mistakes parents make is, whether it's social media guidelines or technology guidelines, we've given them the phone for 2 years, and now we want to crack down on them. And say, from now on, these are going to be the guidelines. It doesn't work too well. The best time to establish the guidelines is when? Before giving them the phone. Right? And what sort of guidelines? This is a guide over here that you have. It's actually meant for clinicians, for doctors, but I thought it was a great guide for parents as well. There are 4 M's over here. Minimize screen time, mitigate the potential, be mindful, and also model it for them. And some great questions right here on the left. Right? I really ask you today, when you go home, sit down, take 3 minutes, read these questions. Great conversation starters with your children. If you go to the other page I've given you, on there is a website, healthychildren.org. If you find that, right? It's actually got a great planner on developing the plan for your family, for how to use technology and how to use social media. And finally, be a good role model for them. Right? So if we agree that at the dinner table is not a great time for us to use the phone, if they don't use it, it also means what? We don't use it. When we go to family gatherings, we're not using the phone, it means what? I'm not using either, okay? So, whatever we establish in the house, those are family guidelines. Everybody practices those family guidelines. Okay. Parenting and trust, I really wanted to go into detail on this. I won't be able to go into detail, but quickly mentioning parenting and trust doesn't just apply to the phone or to social media, it applies to every aspect of life. The one thing that your children should know is that trust is never assumed. Trust is something that is always earned. Because your children will come up to you and say, Mom, Dad, I promise you, Wallahi, this is what I'm going to do. Trust is not earned by Wallahi. Trust is not earned by promises. There's only one way to earn trust, and that is demonstrate responsibility. The more responsibility they demonstrate, the more trust you give. The less responsibility they demonstrate, the less trust you give. You should have access to your children's passwords. I'm not saying this as a sheikh or an alim. If you go to sessions where it's taught by, if you go to the local school and they have experts come in, what are they going to tell you? You should have what? Access to your children's passwords. Even when you have to trust in them and you put full trust in them, You should still ask them to seal their passwords and keep it in a known location. God forbid one day something happens, we need to access their phone for something, right? You should be able to access the password. Monitor their use of technology. And remember one thing, you are the parent, you're paying the bill for it, so you have the right to set the limitations. If there's any doubt about that, remind them who is paying the bill for it. But the last thing is, part of building trust is never get angry with your child. If they come and confess to a mistake, they come and ask a question, they did something they didn't understand, the last thing that you'd want to do as a parent is what? Get angry with your child. The only thing that ensures is the next time they make a mistake, what's one thing they're not going to do? They're never going to come to you. Okay? They made a mistake, sit down. Let's talk about it. Mistakes do have consequences. These are the consequences. And this is how you can earn my trust again. Okay? But do not get angry with them. Okay? Locations for using mobile devices, where to use them, where not to use them. Let's start with where not to use them. What's one place that's not good to use? In the bedroom. Yes? So, in the bedroom is not a good place to use it. So Brother Karrar talked about Snapchat. A lot of sexting, I'm going to talk about that, happens through what? Can somebody tell me where and when does most of the inappropriate conversation happen? On Snapchat, but where? Like in the bedroom. What time? 1 to 2 o'clock at night. Statistically, it happens 1 to 2 o'clock at night through Snapchat. Where? In the bedroom, right? So, locations where not to use the devices, in the bedroom. Well, I need to charge my phone. Well, in our house, there's a central charging station. It's in the kitchen. That's where everybody charges their phone, right? Also, no use of technology after a particular time. After 10 o'clock, nobody's using technology. 1 hour before sleeping, 2 hours before sleeping, there is no more use of technology. I need to do my homework. Well, make sure you do it before 10 o'clock. Oh, but I need to write up the report. Okay, I'm disconnecting the Wi-Fi. You can use Microsoft Word without the Wi-Fi. All right. No use of devices in family gatherings. These are recommendations. Or at mealtime. No use of devices in the car. We're going to the masjid. We've got 15 minutes. There's no need to use. If we understand what role this is supposed to play in our lives, we also understand this is not good. And the last one is something the Sheikh will tell you. No use of devices where in the Islamic center. I know you want to listen to the lecture, and you want the children to be quiet. Well, if you want them to be quiet, make them sit next to you. Bring something else for them. Bring them a pen, coloring pencils, a book. Let them sit there, but don't give this to them. And yes, even after the program. Okay. I wish I had more time to talk about this, but I don't. Locations where you can, public space in the house, at the school when you're allowed, long car drives, you're going on a long one, you're going to give them for half an hour, that's okay. All right, moving on. Guidelines for social media. Number 1, developing awareness. Do I as a parent know what the platforms are? And do I know what the risks are on each of those platforms? Number 2, setting the guidelines. Have we sit down with our children, reviewed the guidelines, agreed upon them, where we can make a compromise, made a compromise on it, and now we are implementing it. And number 3, engaging in conversations. Have I spoken to them about our values? So, number 1, awareness. The first Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullah wa salam alayhi, says, Al-alimu bi zamanihi la tahjumu alayhi al-lawabis. The one who is aware of his times, the one who knows what's happening in his society, will not be overwhelmed by doubts, by problems, by issues, right? So we don't only want to learn aqaid and akhlaq and ahkam, but part of learning is also learning what is Snapchat all about. Part of learning is also learning what Instagram is all about. So do you know what all the platforms and the apps are? When it comes to social media, correct? Do I know what Snapchat is and how it works? Do I know Instagram and how it works?
generally speaking, I should know that. Do I know what the dating apps are? How kids hook up with each other? Okay? I said, why would I want to know that? Well, if you're looking at your child's phone and you see apps on it, and you don't know what those apps are about, then how are you going to talk to them about it? Right? So if you don't know what Tinder is, for example, you need to know a general idea of what it is. Right? Where can I learn more about this from? So your kids, when they go to school, their schools, almost on a yearly basis, have professionals come and present at the schools. They put on an amazing presentation, but the Karrar did a really phenomenal job over here of showing you what Snapchat and Instagram about. There's a lot more to it, a lot of other discussions that he didn't have the time to go into. These presenters, they come, they're paid $1,000 for the 1 hour they present, or 2 hours they present. We know, because that's their job, right? You know, when I go for those presentations, how many people show up normally? How many parents? A school of 1,000 children, I once went in there in Surrey, and how many parents showed up?
20.
12. Number 2, do you know the risks of each? Yes? The risks to what? The risks to morality. Okay? Why did Snapchat become popular? Because it allows you to put something up for 2 seconds, for 1 second, right? So if you want to do some risque behavior, and you want to put up images that otherwise you wouldn't put up, where are you going to put them up on? Snapchat. Why? Because after 2 seconds it's going to disappear. What somebody can do though is take the phone and take a picture, and that's what the Karrar say, there are actually other applications out there, right, where they wouldn't even notify you that somebody has taken that picture of yours, right? As what the Karrar mentioned, the risks to university and job opportunities, right? People have actually lost tens of thousands of dollars worth of scholarship because their Snapchat or their Instagram or their Facebook account showed something that does not go with the values of the university. Not only university and job opportunities, risks to future and marriage, personal safety. Okay, you know when you take a picture on the phone, don't think of a picture just as a picture. A picture is actually a folder. Right? There's a picture, and behind that picture, or with that picture, think of another paper with it. It's got what we call metadata. What does it tell you about the picture? It tells you, number 1, which phone took it. Number 2, it tells you what? It tells you what was the camera that took it. Number 3, it tells you the aperture of the camera. Number 4, it will tell you whether lighting was on or lighting was off. But the most important piece of information, it tells you what? Location. Location. Exactly where the picture was taken. Alright? Now why is that important? I'll tell you a true story. I heard about this. It's a true story, by the way. You put up images on Craigslist, correct? What Craigslist does and what Facebook does, it takes all the metadata and wipes it out. So when a person sees that picture, doesn't know anything about it. Alright? So somebody went on Craigslist, saw a nice motorbike. Yes. They decided that they were going to, one person wanted to sell it. So this person talked to him, they negotiated the price, whatever the price was going to be, and he said, alright, I'm going to come and pick it up sometime. But then he said, on the motorbike, I think I see a scratch. Can you take me a picture and message it to me? So that person took a picture and text messaged it. Guess what happened the next day?
Stolen.
Stolen. Why? Because when you text message the picture, what does it also send?
Location.
The location. Question, do you know how to turn off location? Some of you do, some of you don't. If you don't, then we need to learn that. Do we want our children to have location on or location off, right? Another thing about personal safety is bullying happens online. Nowadays, 11, 12-year-olds, just last month, an 11-year-old girl shot herself, took her own life because of bullying. Do we know about personal safety issues, right? That happens. Sexual predators. There's actually a presenter, he goes to schools, before he goes to the school, he actually has an account, he befriends all or many of the students in that school, right? And then when he goes in the first time to present, he says, hey, how many of you are friends with, I can't remember what name he uses right now, like how many are friends with Lorraine, 13-year-old girl? And we goes, yes, sir. Because you know that 13-year-old girl, Lorraine? That's me, a 50-year-old old man with a bald head. Yes. And he goes, oh, I know so much about you, and we've been talking very intimate. Like he doesn't go into that, but we could be doing something like that. Do we know those risks? Do you know the lingo? Right? I mean, let's say you're reading the messages, but you don't understand the lingo. Then what's the point, right? SMH, which means what? Shake my head. GNOC?
No idea.
Get naked on camera. WTTP? Want to trade pictures? PAL? Parents are listening. So I understand I am out of time. So if you just give me 2 minutes, I'll rush to the rest, okay? Set the guidelines before you give access. Sit down, talk about it. Wherever you can make a compromise, make it. But both parents and children own the guidelines, and that's what they're going to follow. Number 2, ensure that the guidelines are being followed. You want to know who your friends are when they go to school, the children's friends are when they go to school. What about online? You want to know how they dress when they go to school. Don't you want to know how they dress when they are online? Correct? Some guidelines to consider. Appropriate social media platforms, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable for you. Opposite gender interaction. How do they interact with members of the opposite gender? Can they befriend them? Will they allow them to befriend or follow them? Sharing images. Even if it's, okay, I only have girls in my following, right? Can I share images without hijab or not? Anything that goes online is what? 2 things. Anything that goes online is permanent. Anything that goes online is public. All right? And speaking to strangers. The last slide is conversations. All right. The many filters out there, filters that will block certain content, filters that is monitoring certain content. But what happens when your child becomes 18? Or what happens when your child is using their friend's phone and not your phone? Is that filter going to help? No, it's not going to help. So the best filter is what? The best filter is good values 1.0. Okay? Regular conversations build good values. Talk to children about legal consequences. These are some conversations you want to have. So let's say, for example, 13-year-old sends a topless picture to another person. Another 14-year-old. 14-year-old goes OMG and forwards that to their friend and said, look what she sent me. Legally speaking, the person who forwarded it, what are legal consequences?
Jail.
But what? Charged with what?
Child pornography.
Possessing and distribution of child pornography. Yes. Possession and distribution of what? Child pornography. Alright. Talk to children about potential risks and good practices. Okay? Most importantly, talk to children about values and life skills. Things that, where the Karrar mentioned, how self-esteem is so much tied to social media. And it's so important for us to explain that dignity and izzah comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Short-term risks and long-term consequences. Imam Ali says that how often it is that a little bit of pleasure brings hasratan tawila, a long period of regret. And treating your brother the way you would like to be treated. One last point is, online values are not different from offline. Those values which are important to you as a family offline, like what? Like you don't backbite, you don't brag, you don't use disrespectful words, you don't gossip, right? We don't like to do that? Well, don't do that online either. Just because online offers you anonymity, that you don't have to face a person face to face, or you can hide behind a username, does not make those values now, inapplicable. So take those values that you have in real life and say, my dear son or daughter, we want to apply these values online as well. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam.